Hello, hello. Good evening to everybody out there in the cyber world, in the interwebs, all that good stuff. I am Scholar, and this is the second edition of the Oddball Show, a podcast on poetry, sports, entertainment, hip hop, pop culture, all that good stuff. Tonight we've got a very special guest with us, Mr. Kareem DeRoche, who we'll bring on shortly. He is the editor-in-chief and lead contributor to a website called AroundTheBean.com. That's www.AroundTheBean.com. It's a sports-themed website, and we'll get into that a little later on in the show. Right now, what we're going to do is kick it off to the homie, the elder statesman of the group, Mr. Chad Parento.
Elder statesman, really.
Something along those lines, yeah. And so last week we spoke about National Poetry Month, and we had a lot of poetry-themed dialogue going on. Chad's going to wrap that up for us real quick, and then we're going to move on to sports and hip-hop and all that good stuff. So, Chad, take it away, homeboy.
Thank you very much, Mr. JP, or I should call you Ivan, one of the masterminds behind JP Lime, and of course a tip of the hat to Chris Everson, and of course special guest Kareem DeRoche. Thank you, Prof.
Got you all in check.
And before I begin anything, I do want to give props to Jason, who I'll be mentioning later on, but is not with us tonight. But even before that, I do want to give props to our special guest from the last show, the first show, in fact, Didi Delgado. One of the things that we had brought up at the end of the show was Didi's impending operation and the GoFundMe page, which we recommended you go and donate, and we got a couple more people who donated afterwards. Stone Soup Poetry, which I head up every Monday night at the Out of the Blue Gallery in Cambridge, did a very successful fundraiser, and long story short, between her GoFundMe page and the one-night fundraiser, all her goals were met, as stated on the GoFundMe, which was very exciting. And more importantly, she had the procedure done a couple weeks ago, and she is recovering nicely. She almost tried to get out to Stone Soup or a couple of places, but she's still very, very, very tired. And who can blame her after the procedure? Yes.
What's Stone Soup? Where did she get out to, or try to get out to?
Well, Stone Soup is, for those who missed show 1 or don't know who I am, it's a weekly poetry venue at Out of the Blue Art Gallery, which is now located at 541 Mass Ave. That's in Central Square proper. And that's every Monday night at 8 o'clock. Open mic sign-up time around 7:30. We have an open mic. Then we have the feature at 9. And sometimes we go even a little bit longer. With Didi's fundraiser, we actually went on till about 11 o'clock. That's how successful it was. And I want to give props to TJ Edson and the other people at the Out of the Blue for letting that happen. Probably our most successful night, not just of 2015, but since we first moved into that location back in November of 2014. And Didi, of course, was a fantastic guest regarding the safe places in poetry, the concept of safe places or safe spaces, regarding people feeling safe and not feeling like they're being harassed. And I will say this: it's an ongoing venue. It's an ongoing issue in venues. It's probably not going to be resolved anytime soon. I can tell you that Stone Soup, for anyone who wants to hear me rehash some of the troubles we've had in recent months, can actually visit the first show here on YouTube and get the full story on that. I can tell you that the problems that Stone Soup was dealing with personally have been resolved as far as we know. The people who were behind the issues are not involved at Stone Soup anymore, which is upsetting, but ultimately it's probably for the best at this time. The person in question was not willing to submit an apology, and he was not willing to come to Stone Soup anymore. And that's what I've had to live with, and other people have questioned whether similar stances should be taken. It's not going to be ending anytime soon, but the whole idea of safe spaces and how, shouldn't you be challenged at a spoken word venue, which, as you had stated, Ivan, is not too unlike a rap battle, is going to be an ongoing discussion and an ongoing process. And probably in a thriving art scene in a city as even as small as Boston, that's probably the best thing. As long as it's an ongoing discussion, everyone can be included. I suspect we'll be talking more about this in the future.
Absolutely.
I do want to give some props to the people who have been assembling the Massachusetts Poetry Festival, just to move on a little bit, and to give some people some things to look forward to, especially if you are visiting this podcast for the poetry part of it. We do actually have some involvement on one of our co-hosts for this show at Mass Poetry, in particular Jason Wright, who is he actually had a panel last year as part of Oddball magazine. Oddball actually had a full panel the first day of the Massachusetts Poetry Festival on a Friday, and this year he's actually been asked to speak as part of a panel this upcoming first weekend of May. The Poetry Festival is happening from May 1st to May 3rd, which is an exciting time, and there's a lot of guests, both out of state and local. I'll get to that in a second. But if people are interested, Oddball Magazine, for those of you who don't know, is located at oddballmagazine.com. Oddballmagazine.com features poetry, prose, art, occasional music, and videos for on the artistic side. And Jason Wright definitely is an advocate for mental illness and for those who seek to cope with their mental illness through their writing, through their art, or what have you. So it's appropriate that not only was Oddball represented last year as part of the festival, but this year, if you have a chance to go to Salem, and Salem is a beautiful town, especially the center of it, and the Poetry Festival in Salem is amazing in that if you go to any of the poetry festivals this year in Boston, it's always kept to like one location, one library. With Salem, it's the whole damn town, and they do a really good job. Like, the center of town is very tight. You can easily get to the center by public transportation on the MBTA. You don't really need a car. To get anywhere. You don't need a car, and you don't need to walk very far to get to one event to the other. There's a lot to do. And if anyone's interested in checking this out, you should definitely consider going on Saturday, which is May 2nd. And Jason Wright is going to be part of he's not the only one on this panel. He's joining a multitude of people for the panel group, which starts at 12:15 p.m. proper on Saturday afternoon and goes for 1:15, and it's called Capable Massachusetts, Poets with Disabilities. And already the capacity is listed as limited, so that's exciting to hear already. And if you don't mind, Ivan, I'll just give you a synopsis of what Jason's doing in this discussion.
No, I don't mind at all. Actually, I know he had an event this past weekend, and he's got a book out or something in the works. Go for it. I'd love for him to be here to talk about some of that. Jason, we miss you. What's up, buddy?
He's at the orchestra.
He's at the orchestra. He's at the opera.
The opera.
He's at, or in Southie, he's at the opera. But all right, that was bad.
Hey, Kareem, you ever been to an opera?
Not an opera. I can't really say that I have. I've heard of them, but it sounds like a good time.
I apologize to all my Southie friends in advance. But here's the scoop. And you can go to the Massachusetts Poetry Festival website for further information. And I'll send the link to Ivan, and Ivan can put it below the description of this video on the YouTube page later. But so this is a description for Capable Massachusetts Poets with Disabilities. Quote, most of the time, people with disabilities are spoken about. At Capable Massachusetts, they will be speaking out. Slam poetry legend Rick McIntyre and Oddball magazine founder Jason Wright will be joined by rising stars Hannah Brown and Lewis Morris. And for a generational artistic dialogue on disabilities visible and invisible, and the ongoing struggle, 25 years after the ADA, to build a future where they are not barriers to opportunity. And this is moderated by a poet and organizer, and I should also say an advocate for disabled people all throughout the Boston area, Colin Killick of the Disability Policy Consortium. And this is going to be an exciting one, if only for the fact that I know everyone on this panel for the first time ever. Rick McIntyre, for those of you who are in the poetry scene, slam or otherwise, you'll be no stranger to him. He's been a multiple Stone Soup and Cantab feature. He has been in the scene for decades, and he doesn't get out as much as we would like him to. He resides in Rhode Island, and this is a perfect opportunity to hear him talk extensively of his own struggles and help. And
Rhode Islander, you're saying?
He is a Rhode Islander now. He lived in Massachusetts for the longest time, and currently I think he's in the Providence area, and still kicking ass. And up until a while ago was hosting a poetry venue. And Jason Wright, of course, is no stranger to speaking on disability. You can just look at his Jagged Thoughts column every Tuesday afternoon at oddballmagazine.com. In fact, his new book, which Ivan was keen to remind me about, it's kind of sad he reminded me about it because I was actually in the audience this past Sunday in Plymouth when he debuted his book. The name of his book is titled A Letter to the World, and it's actually a collection of, among other things, past Jagged Thought columns, I believe a couple of new poems as well. It sports a beautiful cover by TJ Edson, who's no stranger to Oddball or JP Lime. Some of you who were on Twitter probably saw the Oddball magazine banner logo, and after Ivan had his way on it, graphic art-wise, I told him we got tagged.
Hey, it happens. It happens. It happens. You know what's funny about that? And you said tagged, and I immediately thought, all right, well, what do you mean? Like I tagged you guys on Facebook? Like I wanted you to see it, and you meant like graffiti tagging, and you just said that you forgot Jason's book, your partner's book. You're the elder statesman, man. What can I say?
I didn't think tagged was a Generation X term or what have you. Jesus Christ.
Hey, I don't know, man. That's just how I took it. Maybe I'm on social media too much. Maybe it's my issue.
Oh God.
What about this book now?
Oh, well, the name of the book is A Letter to the World. It's actually a full-length collection, even though it's put out by Telltale Chapbooks, and it's available for $10. And I'm hoping to God it has an ISBN number and the whole work, so I'm hoping the publisher, Minion Ariel King, will get it on Amazon as soon as possible. It was literally printed last week, so I got a copy, and if you go to Stone Soups on Mondays, or even if you go to the Massachusetts Poetry Festival this coming May, you can probably grab a copy for him. Very likely you can do that. And it's an affordable collection and pretty beautifully put together. Minion has a knack for... Minion is the publisher of... Not only the publisher of Telltale Chapbooks, she's also the publisher of Hidden Charm Press, which puts out her quarterly Mojo. I think there's at least another press in there somewhere that she edits under her collective Minion banner. And she has a knack of putting out really nice, really well put together books that don't cost a lot. That's probably at an expense to herself, so props to her.
Props.
Props. And of course, the other members of the group, Lewis Reginald Morris, is a member of Flatline Poetry, which has been taking the Boston scene by storm, and also Hannah Brown, who is definitely the very definition of a rising star, had a fantastic Stone Soup feature, and not content to rest on her laurels on that alone. She has been featuring and reading everywhere else in the Boston scene. I think a couple of weeks ago she was preparing for the semifinals. I forget if the semifinals actually happened in the slam scene. I apologize to my slam friends for not knowing that, but point is she's been continuing to put out amazing work. And Colin Killick will probably be a Stone Soup feature in the future. Foreseeable? How soon a future? I'm not sure, but she's been doing a lot. He's been doing a lot to promote events and provide outlets for poets with a variety of disabilities, and helping those said poets as well. So this is going to be an exciting forum, and there's a lot of other great people in forums. I strongly advise you get to the Massachusetts Poetry website. Again, I'll send you the link, Ivan. You can put it down there. And and a plethora of stars too, both local and out of state. One of the most prominent people on the list for the out of states is Richard Blanco, who I actually saw read at the Museum of Fine Arts a little while ago.
Hey, can I say something?
Yeah.
Richard Blanco translates to Dick White. That is all.
Oh man.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think my brain automatically rebooted for some reason. I totally don't remember what you just said. Anyway, Mr. Blanco is the fifth inaugural poet of the United States, having read at Obama's inauguration, and he's put out some amazing work. His speaking schedule is going to be on Saturday, May 2nd, and he's headlining along with Rita Dove, and Rita Dove is a former U.S. Poet Laureate, 1987 Pulitzer Prize winner. Fantastic work. I'll probably be sharing some of it on the Stone Soup Facebook page. She's been around for a long time, and so long that back when I was in college in the 90s, some of my friends were actually writing term papers, thesis papers, just based on like a single poem of hers. She puts out a lot of really dense but very easily accessible work. It's going to be very exciting. But if you want an introduction to the Massachusetts poetry scene, for those of you, if you feel like coming out for a good coming out for this and seeing what's what, I would definitely come out for speaker Reggie Gibson. Reggie Gibson is someone who you don't get to hear as much from anymore, but definitely is one of those superstars. He's showing up in places like Poetry Magazine. He's been on National Public Radio, and I think he recently featured at the Poetry Festival celebration at Copley Square Library. Has done, and he's I believe he's one of the speakers on the State of Poetry, which I believe is also taking place on on Saturday. That could be completely wrong, but I am currently spamming on the website. What's that?
We will send the details out for
We will send the details, and we'll send out all the information of where you can grab this stuff. And Reggie Gibson is a fantastic performer and a fantastic speaker. As I said, you don't get to hear him as much anymore. This is a perfect opportunity. Last year, I got to see my hero, Philip Levine, who is considered to be like the working class poet hero. I should say was, because he passed away just a few months ago, and it was a thrill to get to see him read. It was actually my first and last time seeing him read. I had blown opportunities to see him read in Boston. This is the last chance I was going to get, and it was definitely a memorable reading. So you're going to see at least one thing you like, even if you're not the biggest fan of poetry. It is worth seeing, and it's worth seeing all the younger people and the smaller name poets organize these panels. What was that?
Sorry.
Thought you were doing a drum beat. Thought you were doing a drum beat to spice up my flavorless dialogue.
My apologies. That was me muting my mic to clear my throat and clicking on it twice, so I muted it. Really quick, so. My apologies. Sorry about that. Oh man. So
it's interesting beatbox concept art. I think that's all I got right now. I wish I could have bounced more off of Jason, but Jason mad props, and maybe if we're lucky, we'll be able to do an extra show before the festival happens. I know I haven't talked about that with any of my co-hosts, but it's a hope, a fervent prayer, and stay tuned for that, if only so they can slap me down for having such a crazy idea.
Oh, we'll figure something out. Hey, maybe next time Jason will join us. You know, he pushed for the record, everybody out there on the internet, including Jason.
Wow, I'm gonna put him on blast.
Jason pushed to have this podcast at this very specific time.
It's good that he did that.
Homeboy's busy. Homeboy, hey, we're making it happen. We're about to get into the Celtics and how BS that game was. Not because the Cavs aren't a better team, but because the Cavaliers are good enough to win without the refs handing them every single game-changing, momentum-killing call imaginable. We're about to get into that with Kareem DeRoche. We're going to talk a little hip-hop very soon. But, Jason, we'd love for you to join us at some point. It's, talk a little poetry, a little hip-hop.
And we thank him for doing this, because doing a show like this is, even if it's once a month or twice a month, is a lot of discipline, and one of us has to set the fire on the rest of our asses. So so it's good that he did that, even if he pulled a magic trick at the end.
You're being very diplomatic, and I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I'm joshing you, so to speak. I'm sure terminology is familiar to you. Being the
diplomacy comes with age, sir.
Yeah,
diplomacy comes with age.
But anything else on the National Poetry Month, Mr. Poet for Hire? I know you've been writing poetry every day for National Poetry Month, no?
There is the National Poetry Writing Month Challenge, and
Yeah.
maybe I should give you a link to my blog where I've been trying to do that. The
Yes.
trick is to write a poem a day for 30 days. That's what they call National Poetry Writing Month,
There you go.
or NaPoWriMo. So some people are into it in private blogs. I've been doing this since 2005, since I think it was Maureen Thorson first came up with the idea and actually had a website where everyone could convene and share their blogs. And since then it's expanded to an entire website, which actually has writing prompts and links every day, which I haven't had a chance to get to because I'm too busy trying to freaking write every day. I'm at least 6 poems behind, and I'm hoping this weekend to actually catch up.
Nice. Well, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely send definitely send those details so we can share your efforts with everybody. I've read some of them. I like them. I like what you do.
I appreciate it. It's not easy to write every day, and my own personal challenge to myself. Other people have certain challenges that they do. Some people say I'm going to write enough poems to put out a chapbook. My challenge is to actually write 30 poems and not break what I call the EHG, which is the emergency haiku glass. No 575.
Emergency haiku.
That's funny.
No 575. No cheats.
That's funny. I'm glad you said that because every time I'm asked to do something poetically, I immediately turn to a haiku because
So do
it's
I.
easy.
So do I.
That's awesome. 575. Gotta love our haikus.
I'll cheat sometimes and put in a tanka, which is a 57577. But I haven't even had the inspiration to do one of those. It's all been long stuff, so I've been giving myself a headache.
There you go.
Chad, how come you don't publish your own stuff very much on Oddball, do you?
I don't. Well, I'm an editor, and I know that my schedule is such because of my job and because of my commitments on the outside. I could not trust myself to put out a long form in the way that Jason does. I can't do what Jason does and what Andrew does and what James Van Looy does. Those are the poet columnists. And a little semi-spoiler, we might actually be adding a fourth to the list. For a while, I actually did a humor column where I was doing the limericks with George Panagopoulos, who's a fantastic cartoonist and illustrator whose work doesn't show up in Oddball enough. Maybe one day when both of our schedules are a little lighter, we'll be able to reunite again. We used to call our column the last-ish word because we would pick a column that's been talked about in the news, and we would kick the dead horse one more time, and sometimes the results were hilarious.
Oh man,
so hopefully it'll happen again. Hopefully you can actually see a link on my website too of the last-ish word. It may come back, it may not, but George still contributes, so that's good enough for me.
There you go.